Good morning. It's February 7th, 2024. I just got back from Gateway and Superstore. So as you can see, a lot more food this week. We are out of everything, especially everything fresh. So I did just a regular shop instead of going on my reduced budget. And I think that's what I'll be doing from going on forward through February. There's also a couple of other expenses coming up in February, but I just like let you see what I bought. So Gateway had these clementines on for $1.97 a box. Some of them are getting a bit soft, but what I might do is pick out all the best ones for fresh eating and then try to do some canning. Superstore had an offer for the 8-pack of peppers on for $4.99. Gateway kiwis were $1.97. Gateway, the cucumbers were 97 cents. $3.97 for the romaine at Gateway, and $1.97 each for the mushrooms, and $1.47 for the carrots, and 97 cents each for the strawberries. But as you can see, same thing with the clementines. There's definitely some are a bit shady, so I'm going to wash all those and go through them and clean them. Anything that's good, I'll put in the fridge for the kids to eat. On anything that's going a bit off, I will probably freeze for smoothies. Superstore had one of these on for half price, so $8.50. Then Gateway had these on for, I think, $2.97. So I got 2 of those. And then they had these big packs on for $4.97 of the salami. They also had these, I believe, for $5.97, just breaded chicken. $5.97 for the big bag of fries. I really enjoy those fries. And I got one of these hams, I believe was $5.97. And the big pack of processed cheese was $9.97 for, I think it's a 2 kilogram block. Oh yeah, 2 kilogram block. And then the turkey was, I think, 500 grams for $4.97 each. Same thing, Gateway. Gateway almost always has their lean ground beef on the 10-pound bags for $3.99. So I picked up one of those. I'm going to break this into smaller packages and freeze it. Superstore, these weren't on sale, but we are completely out of cereal. So we got some store brand Frosted Flakes and Rice Krispies for $4.79 each. The store brand, or the not store brand regular Cheerios were $5.79 for the larger box. They didn't have any of the store brand Cheerios. Milk was $6.89. These were 2 for $3. Yogurt was $8.99. The cheese was on $3.99 on a flash sale these next 3 days. So I just got 4 blocks. I still have quite a bit of cheese in the freezer. This is just a show. This is just what I grabbed this morning. I haven't even washed these yet. We're getting about 4 eggs a day from 6 hens, so we're getting probably a little better than 2 dozen eggs a week. So that's great. I got 2 of these boxes from Gateway, $2.97 a piece. Gateway also had these on for 17 cents each. They're probably getting close to expiry. I don't know, does pasta expire? February 4th, so that was a few days ago. So these are 17 cents each, so I got 12 of those. Superstore had their oatmeal packets on for $1.99 each. There's 10 in the plain and only 8 in the flavored. So the kids will probably have 1 of each for breakfast. They also had these in the 50 off. They were $1.99. It's you mix it with water to make coconut cream or coconut milk, or you can throw it in smoothies or whatever. I'd got some in powdered form before and I quite like it. I'm still using it and I can imagine it lasts forever. Anyway, and then I got a bunch of these. These were 97 cents each, so 3 kids. So I got 3 of those ones and 3 of these ones. And I got these to put away for Easter. This is just some potatoes, homegrown potatoes that I took out for supper tonight. So my total at Gateway was $135.15. My total at Superstore was $72.58. Oh my gosh, I didn't write down. Oh, so a total of $207.73. And then I received 6,100 points at Superstore. So that's the groceries for this week. It's so nice to get the fridge stocked back up with some fresh stuff. I was really getting tired of eating so many bread products. All right, so I just went through and cleaned all those strawberries. These are the ones I'm going to freeze. I just freeze them on these trays and then scrape them off so that they're individually frozen. They're great for smoothies. This is about 1,000 grams. And then 500 grams just for fresh eating in the fridge for the week. So out of 1,800 grams, we got 1,500 grams that's edible. So worth it for $4. Okay, so much like the strawberries, I just went through all the clementines. These are the ones that are the firmest. We'll use those for fresh eating. The rest I peeled and segmented. This is 6 pounds between the two bowls. So in each bowl I added 1 tablespoon of pectic enzyme and a quart of water. I'm gonna let those soak overnight. That's supposed to remove the rest of the pith easily, and then I'm gonna can these up tomorrow. So it's a couple hours later. I made some bread for supper tonight. They're resting on the counter, just doing its second rise. So I thought I'd get this 10-pound bag of hamburger broken up. So what I decided to do was break it up into 8 packages. So that worked out to 560 grams. What I like to write on the labels is how much I paid for it, how much is in it, and what is in it. So I'm just labeling all my containers. As you can see there, the lean ground beef, the date, how much it costs, and how much is in the package. And then I just use my kitchen scale to break it all up into my smaller packages. This doesn't take long, a few minutes, and usually everyone likes to come out and talk to me while I'm doing this. I find 560 grams is a good amount for our family. And so I just went downstairs and grabbed those strawberries that I had thrown in the freezer earlier. They're now individually frozen, so when I take them out of the bag, I can just take out as few as I like. Don't worry, I've washed my hands several hundred times today. And I write on the bag, same thing, what they are, strawberries, and the date, and how much is in the package, and how much they cost. So when I store my hamburger, I like to, well, 2 things, get all the air out of the package. And I also like them to be fairly flat because I find if you pop them out of the freezer, they thaw a lot faster. Also, they take up less room. You can stack them a lot easier. So I just take a rolling pin and kind of squeeze the air out. I just leave a little corner open. Some of these bags are a bit split on the side because I've used them several times. But just get all the air out, get it kind of pushed in the corners. It doesn't matter if it's exact. And I'm just freezing them in this fish tub, so it'll fit in the freezer. And then once they are frozen, I'll take them out of this fish tub. I don't need them all lined up in there. So yeah, I'm just getting the air out of all of these packages. So now that I've gotten all the air out, I'm just going through and picking up the couple packages that had split open on the side and just grabbing a piece of tuck tape and just covering that corner. Like I said, I reuse these bags quite a few times, so they do get a little bit beat up, but they still work just fine for freezing food. Okay, so there we have all 10 pounds of hamburger ready for freezer storage. And I also have my kilogram of strawberries there ready to go and for nice long-term storage. All right, so these have been soaking since yesterday. It's been probably 20 hours or so. It's 7:45 right now. As you can see, the fruit is starting to break down already and the pith is coming off super easy. And so I'm going to rinse these several times. You don't want to leave any of the enzyme on them because they will continue to break down. You can see how murky this water is. So you want to rinse everything off. If you don't get all the enzyme off, then you're probably going to be left with a jar of mush. I'm going to get started cleaning these off and go downstairs and grab my canner, and I'll get these canned up. All right, so I rinsed these probably 3 or 4 times, let them soak, let them rinse. This is what they look like. So the pith is all gone. It was starting to disintegrate the membrane as well, so I don't think I would have liked to let these go much longer. So those are ready to go. I've got jars over here that I just washed and filled up back up with hot water. I got my lids ready to go, my funnel, my jar lifter. In my pot here is 6 cups of water and 1 cup of sugar. That makes a light, very light syrup. I'm using the Bernardin recipe for citrus sections. And then I have my steam canner over here. It's empty, it's turned off. So I'm just gonna flip on my syrup and get it started. You're gonna bring that to a boil. And then I'm gonna bring my jars over. These just have very hot top water in them. So you don't ever wanna put hot liquid into a cold jar or a cold jar into a warm steamer. All right, so it's been about 5 minutes. I just brought my jars over and this is now boiling. So I'm going to turn the heat off on this. And I'm gonna start emptying these jars. These are quite hot, but I can pick them up with my hands. The steam canner is one of my favorite ways to water bath can because it only takes 2 quarts of water. This way this is starting off with warm water as well. You can also use just a regular water bath canner, or you can even just use a large pot as long as you have a rack for the bottom. So just about 2 quarts of water. And then I'm gonna take the rest of this water and I'm just gonna pour it into my sink. I actually reuse it to do dishes. This has been sterilized as well, as has this. And I'm gonna start filling my jars with the fruit. And you're gonna fill them to 3/4 of an inch from the top. A plastic spoon. I'm just gonna kind of smush everything down so I can get the rest of that fruit in and to kind of fill in any air gaps. Now I have done a lot of canning in my life, so I know pretty much the volume of what's going to fit in jars. But a really good rule of thumb is a pint or a half-liter jar is a pound. All right, so this is empty. I'm just gonna take my funnel and I'm gonna fill each of these jars with my syrup to 1/2 inch headspace. Okay, so then what I'm gonna take is just take my plastic spoon and go along the edges and just get out any air bubbles. And then I'm just gonna top the rest of these, or top these all up to 1/2 inch headspace. You can use a ruler to measure, or it is right here is 1/2 inch from the top. So you want your liquid to be there and you want all your solids to be covered. Just while I'm correcting the headspace on here, I'm just going to put the lid on my steam canner and turn it on. You want this to be warmed up, but you don't want it to be too hot so it doesn't crack the jars. And a steam canner warms up really quickly. If I was doing a regular water bath canner, I probably would have had it running before I even put the syrup on to boil, as it can take a long time to come up to temperature. That is one of the reasons I love using a steam canner. So after you get your 1/2 inch headspace, you're just gonna give the tops of your jars a wipe. And this just has a little bit of vinegar on it. You wanna make sure there's no sugar or anything on these rims so that your lid doesn't seal. So I'm just going over these twice just because I noticed that one had a little bit of orange on it. And then I like to have my lids already ready to go. These are brand new lids. I always use brand new lids. And I'm using Bernardin lids. If they're here in the US, you're probably using Ball. They do make off-brand lids as well, but I know there's been issues with them in the past, so I don't use them. I just use the Bernardin. And you're doing finger tight, so just finger tight, and then maybe just a little, I don't know, 1/10 of a turn past finger tight. I'm gonna keep this syrup for another project, and I'm gonna warm up my canner. As you can hear, this is already starting to just warm up, and we put the warm liquid in there as well. So these are not boiling hot, so I can touch these, but I prefer to use the jar lifter. The one downside of the steam canner is the space allowed. I think I can fit 9 pints or 7 quarts in it, but I find I'm usually doing smaller batches anyway. If I was going to do a really big batch, I would use a bigger pot. All right, so on the top here is a gauge. I am at less than 1,000 feet, so I have to wait till it comes over to this very darkest line. Just pop that on, and when it gets to that line, I'll start my timer for 10 minutes. All right, so I'll just show you there. I'm in that dark green zone for less than 1,000 feet. Is that 1,000? Less than 3,000 feet. I'm at like 50 feet. All right, so this timer I just set for 10 minutes. And what I do is when it gets to here, I just turn it down to low on my stove, and that'll maintain that temperature for the 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, I'm going to turn this off and then put a timer on for 5 minutes and just let this come to a cool down so that we don't get any thermal shock from our jars. All right, so that's 10 minutes. My timer just went off. I just flicked off my burner here, put 5-minute timer on here. You can still see it's plenty hot, and it stayed right at that temperature pretty much the whole time. So I just let it cool down on this burner, which is now cool. It is where I boiled my syrup, but that was probably like 15 minutes ago. All right, so my timer just went off. It's been cooling for 5 minutes. This is a moment of truth. We haven't seen these since they went in, so if there was any thermal cracks, this is when you're gonna find out, and it's gonna be a mess in here. Ta-da, we're good. I don't get many cracked jars, very rarely. It's usually a fault in the jar, or it's actually usually, let's be honest, usually it is user error from me not warming up the jars properly. So they look good. I probably could have done 12 hours on the pectic enzyme, but I think they'll taste delicious. So what I do is I'll let these cool for 24 hours before I move them. At that time, hopefully all of the lids will have popped, and then I will label them, take off the rings, and give everything a wipe. Just if there was any siphoning from sugar, you don't want to then store it and have it go moldy. You take the rings off so that if you do lose a seal, you know right away. You don't have a false seal. And yeah, and I'm just going to dump this right now. This is the last rest of my syrup, and I will probably find a use for that. And yeah, that's my canning done for the day. All right, I'll show you what the jars look like. So there we have it, 6 half-liter jars of clementines for the pantry shelf. So even on a relatively easy shopping trip, we managed to put quite a few things into our short-term storage. All right, thank you for watching. Bye now.